stuff I've been working on.
Yeah. So you can take something like this and you can add a solid edge banding to it, like this, and you've got a look. And you can see how it kind of bleeds into each other, where there's no real definition of the piece. And then you can take, instead you can add, that's what happens when you add a string inlay to it. Now you've isolated the field and boarded it out, and it has a much more finished look to it. And you can do it with a dark wood and a light wood, or you can use ebony or something dark, and it gives you a different look. So you can see how
Sure
this
does.
bordered it out,
Yeah.
but it's
Subtle.
real subtle. It's real subtle. So that's, doing two things. You want to highlight it, you want to subtle it out. You can also have to take into account if you do something like this is just maple. Walnut, this is walnut, and walnut looks best with an oil finish. Walnut is going to yellow this guy considerably. So it's going to yellow it out a little bit and make it a little bit more subtle. It's not going to be so stark as when it's a fresh cut like that. I mean, that's really stark. This is yellowed a little bit, so it's going to be more, it's going to look more in that range there. And then you can come in and you can do parquetry on this thing. And what you'd like to do is get some stuff that's fairly linear and straight and is a matching wood for it. This happens to be Claro walnut against, this is not Claro, this is black walnut. So these are slightly different, but this is a Sausier effectively. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this guy for, and I did that, I should have explained. I turn this thing around. If you look at this guy here, it's darker on this edge than this edge. So I think I'm going to put this on the outside. And what I want to do is I want to keep track of these things so they're always on the outside. So I'm going to put a yellow line so that these guys, the yellow line is always on the outside. And that way I'm not cutting this thing up and reversing it and the grain gets wacky. Because I can take this guy and put it on here like this, and then the next one I do, if I spun it around this way, now my dark is on the inside and my light's on the outside, and this line that comes up here doesn't look like it's continuous anymore. Is everybody following that? So these guys here are going to become the ones that go this direction. And I want to do the same thing where I want these, this is also different here than on the inside. This is not a perfect piece. I wouldn't normally use this one, but it's what I had. And because this is a demo, I don't care. But I also want to mark this so that every time I cut this guy, I'm not putting a piece like this and a piece like that. Now the exception is, if I'm going from here to here, I might want to have this yellow line facing this direction. When I'm coming this way, I might want to have this yellow line facing this way. So now I'm book matching the edge banding, and it's real subtle. So you can do this the simple way, which is what you see 99% of the time when you see this sort of thing, which is, I decided to make the edge band this wide. That looked about appropriate for this. I can take it and checkerboard it, 1 and 1. They're all the same thickness, they're all the same width, and they're just back and forth. I'm tired already. Or you can do something that's a lot more fun, and you can say, I want them wider in the middle and shorter on the ends. Gives a little tension, gives a little interest. You would do the same here, where it's wider in the middle and shorter on the ends. And the whole thing there's more tension in the board, and it's just more interesting.
Would it be almost imperceptible, the difference in
It
size?
can be, or you can make
is
it
bolder?
radically different. Now, if you think about it, if my edge banding is the same all the way around, the one that goes on this end here has to be the thickness of this guy. So if this is 1.5 inches, this is 1.5 inches. So this last one down here, that goes here, has to be 1.5 inches to match this guy here. I can make this guy, what might look good here? Well, maybe something like that. Well, what is that? Oh, it's about 2.5, somewhere in that range. Yeah, you're pretty close. So you can come in and say, okay, this is 2.5 and this is 1.5 inches. I have to do some variation from here to here. And you can sit there and putz away with numbers and do those sort of things. For those of you who've been in the projects class, you know there's a mathematical formula for doing drawer progressions. You can work with that same system and do that progression there, and it kind of takes the thinking portion out of it. It makes it progressively smaller. And I did that last night, and after about the fourth try on it, I just gave up and made up a bunch of numbers, so I'm going to use these numbers. And this is what's really kind of critical, is you make up the numbers, and you put the direction of the grain on the thing. And this is just a little note for myself to be able to read. But the first one, I'm going to start in the middle and work my way out. Or I can work on, I'll go from the end and work my way in. How's that? I'll do that. How about if I do that?
That, it's fine with
Is
me.
that fine with you? Okay.
Works for me.
Are you keeping the spacers the same width then, or are you varying them also? You've got this, a piece of here, and then a piece of this going sideways, and
Right.
then another piece. And if you're varying the length of those, do you vary the width of these
Yes,
in the same,
yes.
wow.
But just a minute,
No,
how,
it's not.
you
it's-
can't, how do you do, you can't do the width because it's gotta be that
They're
wide.
all, okay, so the ones that are going this way are cut at 1.5 inches,
I know that.
Right,
which you guys all get that. These guys all get cut at 1.5 inches this way, but then this thickness varies.
yes, yes.
Okay,
Now, you said make the inside wider.
right.
What would happen if you reversed it? My mind sees your eye flowing towards the center if the center is smaller.
Kind of makes it look like it's exploding.
You got funny eyes.
Well,
So, what happens, this is a good question. So, if you have this guy wider down here than shorter, it does make you, it takes your eye away from the middle and shoots it to the end. When you look at this tabletop on its own, without anything on it, where's your eye want to go?
Right now to the center.
Right out of the center.
And this
So
does that for you. Even this grain right here makes you wanna go to the center.
you go to the center. So the edge banding wants to pull you to the center also. So a bigger piece in the center is going to pull your eye. in here.
Is it going to raise the center? Is that going
No.
to your eyes, and
No.
it going to make that look a little,
See, I don't
No.
see that
like-
anyway.
it's growing up?
Nope. So we're just going to get this thing moving. And we can chat as we're going. How's that? So the first piece I want to have, I'll start at one end, I'll start at that end, and I'll come this way. So the first one I have is going to be this end one, and it needs to be 1.5 inches thick. So I'm going to take this puppy, and first thing I'm going to do is square up the end. And the very first shot I took blew off the end of this thing. So I'm just gonna make sure I'm there. Now, the first guy, remember it's 1.5 inches, but I don't wanna make it 1.5 inches. I wanna make it bigger. And the reason for that is, this guy is going to end up being
Same as that guy.
right here, and it's gonna be going this way. Well, these things don't, when you glue them up, they don't actually go in a straight line, they kind of wander off a little bit, so you have to shoot the whole thing. So you make them very slightly oversized, and then you can shoot them down to the final size. So the first thing I got is, I got a little line there, and I'm gonna cut this guy. Charles, what didn't I do? I didn't use a square to draw the line.
Well, yeah, but you use your board for the line, didn't you?
Sort of, yeah. Okay, so now, all of Kathleen's shit is all down here in this groove.
I believe you were the last person to use the plane.
Was I?
I actually had cleaned it out, and that's when you took over.
What is the base on that plane?
Want me to show the video?
If you can guess it, I'll give it to you. Okay, so this guy's gonna go here. That's gonna be my first one. It's 1.5 inches-ish. The next one is going the other direction. And, hmm? Yeah, but you knew that, so you don't get it.
I didn't know that. You promised, I have witnesses.
What'd you say it was?
Lignum glyphosate sapwood.
So, if you guys know lignum, it's green. This is the sapwood of lignum. And in the end right here and right here, you can see there's kind of a hint of green trying to grow through. So this is lignum sapwood. Really hard to find, really rare. Okay, so this guy, you're gonna love this, has to be 1.65. So this is where, yes, you can do this, you can look at, you can get this on video, that I'm using a freaking caliper. Okay, I'm making a mark, and this time around, when I square it up, I want to square it up. Because I need to be fairly close. So this is kind of a exercise in patience and redundancy. It's not hard to do, but it is fairly repetitive.
What is gonna be your substrate for this edge fan?
Okay, now, if I were doing this for real, if this were a real thing, this guy would still be in veneer form, it wouldn't be glued up. Okay, this
And your
is,
substrate would be large? Enough to accommodate your
Yeah.
marquetry edge?
yes, yeah.
You would
Correct.
glue all those individual pieces to the,
Yes, these all get, well, okay, so, so now this guy is gonna go here, like so. And I'm gonna take, and this, my yellow line is gonna be facing this way. Do I want my yellow line? Yeah, I'll do that. My yellow line's gonna be going, facing the wall here. So now I need to make this guy, actually, that needs to be 165 that direction. See, you need to be wrong, I had the wrong direction. See, that's what you guys happen when you're listening to me and not talking at the same time. It's so hard, yeah. Thanks, Charles. Appreciate your sympathies there.
It surely isn't the kind of mistake I could make.
Stop calling me Shirley.